Hello and welcome to Byju's IAS. Let's take up the daily quiz for today. The first question: what is the primary objective of the sweep program of the Election Commission of India? Tackle the menace of paid news and fake news, enhance financial accountability of political parties, secure polling booths from hostile elements, promote voter education, voter awareness, and voter literacy. The correct answer is option D. See, the sweep campaign of the Election Commission of India stands for Systematic Voters Education and Electoral Participation. It is the flagship program of the Election Commission of India to promote voter literacy in the country. From 2009 onwards, the Election Commission started paying more attention towards voter literacy and voter awareness, and it started working towards preparing India's voters by providing them with basic knowledge about the electoral process. The primary objective of the sweep campaign is to ensure that India truly becomes a participative democracy where all the eligible citizens are not just empowered to vote, but they're also empowered to make an informed choice while they're casting their vote in the elections. Such awareness campaigns are designed not only to increase voter participation, but also to empower the voters to make the right choice while voting without being misguided by money, caste, or religion. Under this initiative, certain general awareness campaigns are taken up, along with a few targeted interventions based on the local context that takes into account the socio-economic, cultural, and demographic profile of the state and the district, and as well as its history of electoral participation during the previous rounds of elections. Based on such local factors, targeted campaigns are also taken up to boost electoral participation and voter awareness. Through the sweep initiative, the Election Commission is looking to strengthen the Indian democracy by working with the civil society, the media, the corporate houses, and more importantly, with the active participation of the voters. This topic was taken up for discussion because, according to this article in The Hindu, the Election Commission has taken up a sweep campaign via a pride parade in order to spread voter awareness amongst the members of the LGBTQ plus community as Assam goes into elections. So this clearly is an example of a targeted intervention under the sweep campaign. Now let's look at the second question. Which of the following statements are correct? Sabar and Lodha tribes can be found in Bihar and Jharkhand. Lodha tribe has been classified as a particularly vulnerable tribal group or PVTG. Amongst the given statements, the second statement is correct, so option B is the right answer. The first statement is incorrect because the Sabar and Lodha tribes can be found in West Bengal and in Odisha. See, the Sabar tribe is an Adivasi group belonging to the larger Munda ethnic group, and along with the Lodha tribe, they are found in parts of West Bengal and Odisha. See, historically, both the tribes had come to depend upon forest produce for their livelihood, and they had largely stayed away from agriculture. So their primary source of livelihood came from the collection of forest produce. But during colonial rule, these tribes were oppressed by the British rule, and the British laws snatched away their only source of livelihood, that is the collection of forest produce. This eventually pushed these tribes to rob and steal to sustain themselves, and as a result, the British classified them as criminal tribes under the Criminal Tribes Act of 1871. But post-independence, the backwardness of these tribes have been recognized, and in order to provide for their development and protection, the Lodha tribe and the Lodha Savars have been classified as a PVTG. PVTG stands for Particularly Vulnerable Tribal Group. This group was earlier designated as Primitive Tribal Group. It's basically a classification used by the Government of India to recognize those tribes which have very low development indices and provide special focus and attention to them in order to enable their improvement and development. Back in the 1960s, the Debar Commission had identified a few scheduled tribes which had been completely left behind with regard to their development. During the fifth five-year plan, a subcategory of tribes were recognized under the scheduled tribes itself, and these tribes reported the lowest levels of development. So following these findings of the Debar Commission, a subcategory was created by the Government of India within the category of scheduled tribes known as Primitive Tribal Group. In 2006, this classification was renamed as PVTG, or Particularly Vulnerable Tribal Group. Such tribes are identified by the government on the basis of four factors. One, if the tribes are still practicing pre-agricultural level of technology. Then two, if they have very low level of literacy rates. And three, if they are economically backward. And fourth, if they have a declining or stagnant population. Based on this criteria, 75 tribal groups have been identified as PVTGs, and the Ministry of Tribal Affairs runs a special scheme known as the Development of PVTGs that is specifically for the PVTG population. This scheme covers all the 75 identified PVTGs that are spread across 18 states and the Union Territory of Andaman and Nicobar. The scheme contains special provisions to promote the socio-economic development of the particularly vulnerable tribal groups. This topic was taken up for discussion because we have an article in the Hindu that makes a mention of the Sabar tribe and the Lodha Sabars of West Bengal and Odisha. Now let's look at the third question. The conflict-hit Tigray region is located in which country? Myanmar, Nigeria, Ethiopia, Somalia. The correct answer is option C. The Tigray region is a part of Ethiopia. See, the Tigray region is the northernmost region of Ethiopia and it borders Eritrea. Since last November, the native people of the Tigray region have been waging an insurgent war against the Ethiopian state, and reportedly in this conflict, Eritrean forces are also involved. This question was taken up because according to this article in the Hindu, Eritrea has agreed to pull out its troops from the Tigray region, where reportedly the Eritrean and Ethiopian forces have committed mass killings and abuses, leading to widespread violation of human rights according to the United Nations. Now let's look at the fourth question. The subject of public health is under which list of the 7th schedule? Union list, state list, or concurrent list? The correct answer is option B. The subject of public health is under the state list. This question has been taken up because according to this article in the Hindu, the chairman of the 15th Finance Commission, Mr. N.K. Singh, has recommended that the subject of healthcare, that is public health, should be shifted to the concurrent list so that the center will have greater flexibility to enact regulatory provisions in order to provide for better healthcare at the grassroots, especially at the primary level, by working with the state governments. Currently, most of the deficiencies in the public healthcare system of the country is attributed to the failures of the state governments, and hence the chairman of the 15th Finance Commission has recommended that the subject of healthcare should be shifted to the concurrent list. He has also called upon the center to increase spending on healthcare to 2.5% of the GDP and set up a dedicated DFI, which we discussed yesterday, in order to boost India's spending on healthcare. Now let's take up a question from the 2015 prelims paper. With reference to NFC technology or near field communication, which of the following statements is or are correct? It is a contactless communication technology that uses electromagnetic radio fields. NFC is designed for use by devices which can be at a distance of even a meter from each other. NFC can use encryption when sending sensitive information. Amongst the given statements, the second statement is incorrect, so option C is the right answer. See, near field communication makes use of electromagnetic radio fields to communicate with nearby devices, but the distance cannot be more than 4 centimeters, that is roughly around 1 to 1.5 inches. This technology is largely used on mobile phones to send sensitive information such as contactless payments, along with limited transfer of data as well. Now coming to the fact of the day, let's have a discussion on the Khajuraho group of temples. This topic is in news because according to this press release from the Ministry of Tourism, the Union Minister for Tourism, Prahlad Singh Patel, has participated in a session on making Khajuraho an iconic tourist destination. See, the Khajuraho group of monuments, they are a group of Hindu and Jain temples found in the Chhatarpur district of Madhya Pradesh. This group of monuments has been recognized as a UNESCO World Heritage Site, and these temples are known for their Nagara-style architectural symbolism and their erotic sculptures. These temples found in the Bundelkhand region of Madhya Pradesh, they were reportedly built between 885 AD and 1050 AD during the rule of the Chandela dynasty. According to historical records and archaeological evidence, at this temple site, around 85 temples existed back in the 12th century that were spread over an area of 20 square kilometers. Today, 25 of these temples have survived and they are spread across an area of 6 square kilometers. Amongst the surviving temples, the Kandariya Mahadev temple is considered to be the most significant because of its detailed sculptures, intricate symbolism, and the art and architecture of this temple is considered to be the true expressiveness of India's ancient art forms. Most of these temples were built during the rule of Chandela kings such as Yashovarman and Danga, and some of the popular temples built during their rule include the Lakshmana temple during the rule of Yashovarman and the Vishwanatha temple during the rule of King Danga. But the popular Kandariya Mahadev temple was built during the rule of King Vidyadhara of the Chandela dynasty. This temple complex, present around the Vindhyan mountain ranges, was reportedly active until the end of the 12th century. But following the invasion of the Delhi Sultanate, the Chandela kingdom was defeated and most of these temples were desecrated. The rich temple architecture of these temples were even documented by travelers such as Yuan Sang of China and Ibn Battuta of Morocco. And the ones that have survived the test of time, they have been designated as a UNESCO World Heritage Site. So with this, let's conclude our discussion for today. Thanks for watching.